But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive. All right, let's set the scene. Joseph is standing in front of the very brothers who betrayed him. These are the men who threw him in a pit, sold him, lied to their father about him. They didn't just hurt his feelings. They tried to erase him from the story. And now, he's second in command of Egypt. Power, authority, the ability to crush them with a word. And what does he say? You meant evil, but God meant it for good. That is not denial. That's not pretending it didn't hurt. Joseph calls it what it was, evil. He doesn't soften it. He doesn't rebrand it as a learning experience. He says plainly, what you did was wrong. But here's the pivot. God was doing something bigger at the same time. It's like riding a bike uphill into a headwind. You're pedaling hard. It feels like everything's pushing against you. You might even think, this wind is trying to stop me. And in a sense, it is. But what you don't see is that the resistance is building your legs. It's strengthening you for terrain you haven't even hit yet. Joseph's betrayal was the headwind. The pit, headwind. The slavery, headwind. The false accusation from Potiphar's wife, headwind. The prison years, headwind. None of that was good in itself. But God was working in and through it. Here's something important for us as believers. The verse does not say God called the evil good. It says God meant it for good. That's different. God did not author the sin of Joseph's brothers, but he overruled it. He redirected it. He used it. There's a sovereignty there that is both comforting and humbling. Comforting because nothing is wasted. Humbling because we are not as in control as we think. Joseph could have become bitter, and honestly, bitterness would have been understandable. But bitterness would have chained him emotionally to the pit long after he left it physically. Instead, he recognized something. God was not absent in the pit. God was not absent in the prison. God was not absent when it felt like silence. Sometimes we think if God were really involved, this suffering wouldn't happen. But Joseph's life says something different. Sometimes God's involvement is precisely why the suffering doesn't destroy you. And notice the outcome: to save many people alive. Joseph's personal pain became a national provision. His private wounds became public deliverance. Famine was coming. Nations were going to starve. But because Joseph was positioned in Egypt, grain was stored, lives were saved, and the family line that would eventually lead to Messiah was preserved. If Joseph had stayed home and lived a comfortable life, that doesn't happen. Now let's bring this into our own lives, because some of us have been betrayed, lied about, overlooked, sabotaged. Maybe not thrown into a literal pit, but you know what it feels like to be shoved down into one. Genesis 50 verse 20 doesn't say, pretend it didn't hurt. It doesn't say, trust people blindly. It says that even when people intend harm, God is not scrambling. He is not reacting. He is weaving. The application is not passive. It's active trust. First, refuse bitterness. That doesn't mean you ignore justice. It means you refuse to let someone else's sin define your identity or your future. Secondly, look for positioning instead of just pain. Ask, Lord, why are you placing me through this? What muscle are you building? What door are you preparing? Third, remember that your story is rarely just about you. Joseph's trials were not just about Joseph's character development. They were about preservation of many lives. The kingdom of God often advances through what looks like personal setback. So here's the takeaway for today, my friend, my family. When someone means evil against you, don't pretend it's good. Call it what it is. But then lift your eyes higher. God may be building something you cannot yet see. Keep rudderling, even into the wind, because one day you may look back and realize the very thing that was meant to bury you was the thing God used to position you to save others. And that's not just motivational fluff. That's Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. And what a great way to begin this here week. Thank you for joining me here today, my friends and family. And I hope to see you here tomorrow, and we'll kick off the old work week for that Monday devotion. Until then, Abba willing, shalom, shalom.